Hello, Awakened Creators. Hello, hello. Happy Moon Day to you. I am streaming a little bit earlier than I had scheduled because I forgot I had a doctor's appointment at 11. So we are going to just get our chat started now, a little bit early. And excuse me, this is going to be just a really low-key live. The point of this live is related to the theme that we're going to be exploring together this week, and it's all about dreams. So this week, Monday, today, and Friday specifically are going to be especially concentrated on talking about dreams and how dreams can influence our art, how we can use dreams as a tool to inspire us and to problem solve. So to start it all off, I wanted to share with you a piece that I created based on a dream and tell you the whole story about how it all came to be as an example of an experience you might have as well. So hi, Kindness Revitalized. Hi, Marty Powell. Welcome, everybody. And if you are on Facebook or YouTube, be sure and say hi in the comments as well. But thank you all for popping in to chat with me about art and dreams. So this is the painting that I wanted to talk to you about today. This was created, I have to check the date, in March 2021. And I distinctly remember the night that this dream came, or I guess it was really the morning because it was super early in the morning. And prior to this event, I had never really been inspired by dreams in my creativity. I just would do a lot more, at least with my paintings, a lot more intuitive work, meaning you would just sit at the canvas and kind of pick the colors that I feel inspired by in the moment, and then move through layers and layers and layers at a time, different days, different moods, different energies, until a painting resulted. So that was kind of my process. But this particular morning, it was like 3 a.m. I was sprung awake from bed, and I had this vision in my dream. I had seen this most glorious vision in my dream, and I just knew I had to write it down. I had to capture it somehow. The colors, the feeling of it all. And I stumbled through the bedroom, found my sketchbook, went into the bathroom, closed the door because my partner was still sleeping. And I just scribbled down, half asleep, as much of it as I could remember. What it looked like, what the colors were like, what the tone of it was like. And after I had taken all those notes and sketched it out, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to bed, and tomorrow I will paint this thing. And that's what I did. Early morning, I got to work selecting the colors that I felt like really matched the experience. And an interesting insight into all of this as I was creating these. And one of the first things that I really was important for me to capture was the color of the sky in my dream. Was this warm corally color, and it just was so loving, filled with love. And then in the dream, the waters or ocean, it was a sea of some kind, was so beautifully blue. And out of the water, the water itself began to rise from this central point into all of these different ribbons of water, and began to weave themselves around each other. And they were just this flowing, if you can imagine, ribbons of water floating in the air, wrapping themselves around each other in just an endless, infinite stream, and it just held there. And it was so magnificent and so beautiful and so majestic in this vision that I had to capture it. Now, here's the thing. In my dream, this aspect of the painting was non-present. However, at least not visually present. When I began painting, and I started with the background until I felt like the colors were as accurate as possible, and then I began with the water, the two elements that seemed so important in the dream. And as I began painting it, I realized there was something missing. And maybe it's my Libra rising that notices imbalances or something, but I was like, there's something missing here. There's some energy here. Something is here atop the water. And I think maybe it was sensed in the dream, but not a physical representation in the dream. It was more of an energy. So as I'm sitting in a meditative state with this painting and feeling into this space, this beautiful white dove figure comes flying into my awareness. And I feel this just absolute infinite love and peace and beauty. And I'm like, yes, that is exactly what belongs there. That's what it is. That's what this energy is. It's as if this being or this energy represented by this dove is what's pulling all these ribbons of water up and weaving them into each other. And that's actually what I ended up calling the painting, as I call it, Water Weaver. And when we were leaving Bakersfield and moving, I almost sold this painting to just someone. I had all my artwork for sale as we were moving, just to see if I could sell something. And I almost sold this one to someone, but it was just like, I just couldn't do it. There was so much energy here and so much beauty that I wanted to hold on to it just a little bit longer, and actually gifted it to my mother-in-law before we left for Europe. In a way, I think maybe to comfort her and give her some peace of mind. But I'm really curious if any of you have ever painted from a dream or written from a dream. Like I said, this is the first time I ever was like super inspired by a dream state that I wanted to paint. I've had some things come through in meditations that I've painted, but usually it's more of an active, intuitive experience as I'm painting. But I will say this, and I think I've mentioned in some of my other YouTube videos, that I think that as creators, we are so beautifully positioned to be master manifestors. And indeed, we are master manifestors, because what you are doing quite literally when you create is you are taking that vision from beyond, right? Your imagination, wherever you feel it exists, it's from beyond the mind. And you're pulling it down and you're processing it through your vessel and you're pushing it back out into the world. So you're quite literally manifesting art, music, films, fashion, whatever it is that you're into. And so the more we get in touch with our dreams and even daydreams, I know a lot of us daydream a lot. And I remember as a kid being kind of knocked for that, like being told that daydreaming was bad or it's a waste of time, or, you know, people have all these sayings. They're like, oh, you're such a dreamer, like get out of your head, get out of your dreams. But I felt like my daydreams and staring out the window and imagining and conjuring up entire worlds and universes in my head as a writer, especially, was so helpful and beneficial, and something that I highly encourage you to cultivate and practice more. Practice daydreaming more. Not that you should not be present, right? Because maybe that's what people are trying to warn us about, is not to get sucked out of our presence. But there's a time and a place for daydreaming, and there's a time and a place to be really present. And I feel like if you can gift yourself the opportunity to intentionally daydream, intentionally drift away, intentionally have nothing to do, intentionally allow yourself to just conjure up a new world that didn't exist before, that it'll benefit you. And a lot of my stories that I write have come from daydreams or little visions, staring out a window. And the middle grade novel I'm working on now, that's quite literally how it happened. Just staring out my son's bedroom window on a cloudy day, and then I was this whole story just came to me, and it was like I knew it already, and I just had to start pulling the little thread on it. So I'm going to stop blabbering for just a second, because I think some great comments come in. Hi, Pixie Eye, welcome. Wings of Jewels, love you. Kukute Garane, love you. Gabrielle, welcome, welcome, welcome. Ooh, some good stuff in here. Marty Powell says, I have had a baby blue jay that got blown out of its nest in a bad rainstorm last Sunday. It's a sprained left foot, but has now learned to fly, but not strong enough yet to fly upwards into the tree. Wow, Marty, that's an interesting share. Ooh, what an interesting experience. When things like that happen, I always look for some kind of symbology, because that sounds like a really powerful experience. And I don't think anything really is random. Rings of Jewels. Oh, thank you. Looks wonderful, Amanda. I've literally been inspired by my dreams in poetry. Okay. One dream in particular really stood out, and it will be the subject of my next book. So great. So Wings of Jewels is being inspired to write poetry from their dreams. That's beautiful. Marty, your painting reminds me of him. Okay. And his parents are coming to feed him to stay in close contact. That's beautiful. Yeah, because, this really does feel like a kind of a mothering energy. And let's see, March 2021. What was happening in my life? March 2021. Well, so I think my mom had already been diagnosed with cancer that year, although she didn't pass away until early 2022. But this is the other thing about dreams. And we're going to talk a lot more about this on Friday when we meet with Michael Suarez, who's a dream interpreter, who's amazing. He's absolutely like, we've all seen the books where it's like the meaning of dreams. And if you see this, it means this. And if you see this, it means that. Like, Michael is not like that at all. Like, he teaches you how to interpret your dreams, because it's your subconscious. It's your, mind beyond the mind coming up with this stuff. And the only person who could possibly interpret it as accurately as needs to be is you. And so I'm so excited to talk to Michael and bring him with you and have him share his gifts of interpretation, so you can start making the most of your dreams. Because another thing I recognize is that we really have this power to use our dreams. They're not something passive. We feel that, we fall asleep, and we just, whatever comes up, comes up. But dreams are not passive. And if you want to cultivate a relationship with your dream state, you can absolutely do that. I'm out of practice right now, but I did for a while. I was very much so into solving a problem in my dream. And before bed, I would write in my journal, my intention is, in my dream state, I will resolve X problem. Like, I would write out what was going on with me. And I will remember my dream in the morning, and it will contain the answer. And then I would sleep. And as soon as I woke up, I would write down everything I could remember about the dream, and then I would process it. What does that mean as far as the situation at hand goes? And it was so powerful. I mean, leaps and bounds of emotional integration and elevation of your vibe just by doing that. It's like doing shadow work in your sleep, doing the work in your sleep. You make use of that time, right? So yeah, daydreaming is good for our mental health. Oh, Wings of Jewels, according to Dr. Caroline Leaf, a neuroscientist. She has a YouTube video on it. Thank you for sharing that resource. Yeah. Okay. So Dr. Caroline Leaf, a neuroscientist, they are already on it. Daydreaming is good for your mental health. Good for you to sit in that dream space and explore possibilities. Beautiful, Marty. Oh, he wants to fly. I'm so glad that little birdie has you there to care for it. Hi, welcome, Well Life. Oh, there's Michael from Creative Learning New York. Yay. Thank you, Amanda. Just popped in. So perfect timing. I'm so glad you're here, Michael. So yeah, Michael from Creative Learning New York is who we're going to be speaking to on Friday. And I absolutely cannot wait. I hope you'll join us. Gabrielle, fascinating. You're reminding me of the value of daydreams and dreams. I have regular flying dreams. Wow, that's beautiful. So I'll put on my dream detective hat. That's the name of Michael's book, Dream Detective, and ask you to feel into what flying means to you specifically, what energies, what feelings it conjures up for you as a way to guide you to understanding the flying, right? Because you could be flying, but maybe you have a background of being terrified of flying. Okay, so your interpretation of a flying dream is going to be different than someone who sees flying as freedom, as the ability to spread your wings. What do those words quite literally mean? To spread your wings, to become bigger, to expand, to show the fullness of your soul, your spirit, and to use that fullness to catch flight. So there are so many different interpretations, and you are really the one to have that wisdom to know what your flying means for you. So there's a little snippet of what's to come, and Michael can explain it far better than I can. But he has helped me so much in making use of my own dreams. So yeah, I don't know. I really think that we're given this gift of imagination, and we don't really use it. I guess I want to say this. How many of you feel like creativity, at least as you've experienced it in the outer world or been told, is more of like an intellectual exercise than an intuitive one? Because especially as a writer, whenever I would go to writers' conferences or writers' meetings and groups and stuff, it always felt like it was more of an intellectual activity than an inspired one. And that never really sat well for me, because I always thought I was doing something wrong by not sitting there and coming up with a concept from my mental state, refining it, gathering all this data, experimenting with like way before I ever even touch a canvas or write a story, doing all of this work in advance. And maybe it works for some people. Maybe it does. But for me, and maybe for a lot of you in this community too, who feel more intuitively inclined, who feel more in tune with vibration and energy, and wanting to really listen to feeling more so than thinking your way through your creations, when we can cultivate this relationship with dream states, whether they're sleeping dream states or waking dream states, we're showing to ourselves that we can trust our intuition, that we can trust our visions, that we can trust what comes to us. We can allow things to just flow. And I have, with my novel specifically, that again was based on a daydream of a boy, just as I'm looking out this window, and this boy and all these characters and elements of the story come to me. I've gotten farther with my novel by just feeling through the process and allowing myself to write and rewrite and rework and all of this just based on feeling, rather than all the work that I have done, sitting down, making charts, trying to read books and fit things into a intellectual structure. So I don't know if I'm a weirdo because of that, or if I'm a genius because of it. I don't know. I'm curious how the rest of you, I know of brilliant artists who are more intellectual about their process. And so maybe it's just a personal preference thing. But I just want to say to those of you who feel like me, those of you who feel more intuitive, those of you who feel like you don't know what you're going to create when you get started, and you frankly don't really care, it's going to be what it's going to be. You're going to allow the energy to move through you, that there's nothing wrong with you, that you are not doing it wrong, but that you are listening to your gifts, and you are listening to spirit, and you are allowing yourself to be inspired, right? To be in spirit, to have the spirit come in. That's inspiration. It's like a breath. You are being inspired, you allowing spirit in. So let that be a beautiful permission slip for you to continue on your journey as you see fit, and allow your dreams and your visions to inspire you. This also reminds me, I don't think she's on this live stream, but my beloved best friend and soul sister, Cassandra from Dream State Visions, is going to be our featured creator next week. And I'm so excited for you all to see her work and all of the beauty and magic that she manifests into this world. She's so multi-talented, and her whole thing, like I said, from Dream State Visions, her whole thing is she takes inspiration from her dreams. So if that is something that you love and find fascinating and interesting, follow Cassandra at Dream State Visions, because all of her works are inspired by dreams, and they're just absolutely magnificent to behold. What do you guys got going on here in the chat? I feel like writing is more intellectual, but painting more intuitive. However, I have dreamed of poems and got up to write them down. Okay, Marty. Yeah. And I agree. I think just the nature of writing being words and, thoughts tends to lean more towards an intellectual exercise. But I find that our work is best when it's balanced, right? When we pull in both sides of the brain and we come into harmony with the intuitive and the intellectual, the right and the left sides of ourselves, and we allow that free flow of energy. So I definitely I'm not knocking the intellectual structure, because it certainly has helped, but I feel like for too long I thought I was doing art wrong by being led by my intuition. So I want to make sure that any of you feeling that way understand that it's not necessarily wrong. It's just different. Gabrielle, for me, art can always be imperfect and intuitive. I love to write, but I'm more critical than. Oh, you're more critical of your writing, Gabrielle, than your visual art. Is that what you're saying? I think, and yeah, I can see that. I feel the exact same way. I far more easily just allow paintings to flow. But my writing definitely pokes at my inner critic a lot harder. I think, because the mass collective consciousness related to writing is so heavily intellectual and masculinized, for lack of a better word, of like, get it done right, and there's one way to do it, and follow this formula, and you have to have a plot, and then an incident, and then a thing, like there's all these kind of rules with writing, whereas with painting there's technique. You can learn technique, you can learn different styles, you can learn how to use different mediums, but then after that it's kind of like create whatever you want. But with writing, I think there's a tendency to adopt a more controlling mindset over it has to look a certain way. And that can make us, we can absorb that into ourselves and become more critical of our writing. Yeah, Michael says, yes, dreams teach us the art and science of intuition. And I think the more we do it, the better we get at it, right? Wings of Jewels, I write intuitively for the most part. Yeah. It's definitely a blend. Oh, Amanda, thank you for this. You speak so beautifully. Thank you, Gabrielle. It was a very kind comment. Kukute. Also, intellect is needed to be able to write and to read. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, again, it's so fascinating to me. I think music too can be very intellectual. Like actually writing music, composing music can be very intellectual too. I know of a few musicians who talk music and they're just, I don't even, it's like a whole nother language. I didn't even understand what they're talking about. And that so much goes into it. I'm just like, oh, you don't just like pick up an instrument and start strumming away and just jamming with your friends. Like it's this whole layers of sound on sound. And so that too, to me, feels like a little bit more intellectual, but I think it's a blend, it's definitely can be a blend. And I'm still striving for that balance personally. So I'm curious. Some of you said you have dream inspired work. I would love to see it. I shared mine. Now you share yours if you're willing to share it. Feel free to post it in your Instagram stories or Facebook stories and tag Awakened Creators so I can see what you've created from a dream, be it a poem or story or a piece of visual art. Yeah, I really want to showcase what this community comes up with when we tap into our dreams and start inspiring our members to think a little bit more about how they can make the use of their dreams for their creativity. So I definitely would love to see what you have, see what's come through your dream state. And just be sure to tag me so that I can get notified and go look at it. Otherwise, I won't know that you posted it. Yeah. And then on Friday, we'll be talking with Michael from Creative Learning New York about interpreting dreams and using our dream state. He's gonna give us a little teaching, a little masterclass on how to do that. So definitely don't miss it. And then my last announcement is Wednesday, and I'm going to post a reminder, a graphic about this on all the pages. But on Wednesday, I'm doing the next channeling Q&A. So I'm calling all of those of you who feel like you're at a crossroads with your art, or you're experiencing a challenge or looking for an opportunity, but needing to do a little inner work, you have the opportunity to pose a question to me, either through a private message on Instagram, or when I post asking for questions, you can comment with your question, and I will channel Spirit on Wednesday to get some guidance for you specifically. So it's kind of like getting a free reading, free little mini session with me. And what I've found so far in these live channelings are so fun is that no matter how specific it seems like your question or concern is, it always provides so much insight to everyone else. Like I feel like that's the true sign of Spirit, is that it blesses so many people when we share our concerns and challenges with each other. So if you yourself have a creative challenge you're facing, or something you're working through, or you know somebody who is and could use a free reading, definitely reach out to me, send me your question, and I'll make sure that you get some channel guidance on Wednesday. And it's all first come, first serve. So if we have enough time, we can usually get to about 3 questions in our hour spent together. So if you want to make sure your question gets answered, you be the first in line and send me a message, and I'll be sure that you get some guidance on Wednesday. All right. Thank you all for being here. Hi, welcome, Glown for you. Oh, the first short story I ever wrote was based on a dream. That would be such a great, I love that. Yes. Because dreams they do feel like these little snippets, or sometimes they feel like 5 dreams in one, and would be perfect for some really wacky short stories. Wings of Jewels, you got to wait for mine. Not ready yet. I got you. No problem. It feels like we are revisiting the surrealism movement, where artists use dreams to create art. I would agree with that. It's some great insight, Michael. Definitely feel there's a revitalization of various art movements, and that this is part of like what Awakened Creators is doing, and what all of you are a part of right now is this renaissance, this next renaissance of human beings awakening again to their magnificentness as creators, and deciding that they are going to devote their lives to continuing to channel that divine energy through themselves and through whatever medium inspires them. And that's why I love visual art, but I don't Awakened Creators is not exclusive to visual artists. Like, we are all artists. I mean, I've seen people, the funniest example I give is there's someone who follows Awakened Creators that I found online that makes spoons out of wood. And I've never seen a more beautiful spoon in my whole life. When I found their page, I was like, oh my God, your spoon. Like, that's the most beautiful ladle. Like, it makes me want to cry. It's so beautiful because you can feel the love that this person has put into crafting this thing. And that's all that matters. It just matters the love. So I don't care if you're making clay, crayons, melted together into a sculpture. Like, there is no good, better, and best when it comes to your creative medium. It's all what you feel guided to. And you should allow yourself permission to follow that nudge, and no matter how weird it seems, or that no one's ever done it before, that means you're the forebearer. You're the one who's meant to bring that to us, to bring that to humanity. Hey, Tez Bongo, welcome. And I know, Wings of Jewels, you're going to tell me when you publish it. I will be the first one in line to buy your book. Yeah, Wings of Jewels, Amy, she was just our last featured creator. So those of you in the chat who haven't met Amy or don't know too much about her, please check out that post last Monday, I think it was. Yeah, last Monday, where we featured Amy, and you can check out her poetry and her art. She's amazingly talented artist. There's also a blog article that we did all about her. Great insights into the creative journey. I think she would definitely inspire you. So please, please, please check that out. Welcome, LM Cheta and Anya. I'm sorry if I didn't say that correctly, but I love that. I like to be challenged with a good name. Yeah. Okay. So I got to run. It's past 11 here on the West Coast, and I have a doctor's appointment to go to. Everything's fine. Just checking up on some things. So take care of yourselves as well. I feel like that's a nudge to somebody who's maybe been avoiding going to the doctor, but just check in on things. Make sure you're doing okay. Your health is your wealth. You can't create if you're not feeling great. So I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did. So yes, I love you all so much. And I love you, Amy. Yes, I appreciate you as well, sister. Check out Wings of Jewels. Check out Michael at Creative Learning New York. Check out Cassandra at Dream State Visions. She'll be featured next week. And stay tuned for Friday, our conversation about interpreting dreams. And if you feel like you would like a live channeled reading session and you have a creative concern or question on your heart, send me a message. I would love to channel some guidance for you. Thank you all. Have a beautiful day. Love you. Bye now.